and welcome to another Community Viewpoint. I'm John Pollock, your host for this segment in 2022. Hey, the second one this year already. We're moving right along, and I have with me Tamalyn Tylor. I haven't seen you in quite a while because of, you know what?
Yes.
Yes. Tamalyn is with the Nye Communities Coalition, and she'll be talking to us today about something called eating smart, being active. So I know eating a lot, being not so smart. So you're going to rectify that, right?
I'll try.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about this class, if you would.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me explain where we have this class. It's at Nye Communities Coalition, and I've worked there for about 5 years or so. And my area of specialty is working with nutrition. Also, I do fitness. But my area is not just, working out in a gym, but doing things like yoga and qigong. So more of a mind-body fitness perspective. And what I'm doing next week is starting a class called Eating Smart, Being Active. And it's an 8-week class all around learning how to make your diet or your eating more healthy. So we start with figuring out what is healthy, because people have different ideas on what's healthy, of course, and what would be like a healthy eating pattern. From there, we go on and go through each, say, food group, say like the vegetables, fruit, grains, that sort of thing, and give you more information in depth on like how much you should be eating of it, different media stories about it. For instance, there's a lot of things around grains and things, and everybody we know needs to eat more fruits and vegetables. So over the 8 weeks, we're going through the food groups. We're thinking about different strategies when you're shopping, perhaps, how to save time with meal preparation. And we always we attract different types of students, and the students really make the class. So it's really exciting. Sometimes I get people more in their older years, but sometimes I get even teenagers. So we can work with different age groups and find out what their experience is around food and bring them into the discussion and just, like I say, help people eat more healthy, more smart.
Now, eating more healthy, more smart, people have mentioned that because of COVID, because of the supply chain issues, prices have been going up and inflation has been hurting us in the pocketbook when we go shopping. For some reason, I haven't found that in the stores in Pahrump. We found areas where things are actually missing in frozen food and whatnot, but things that were lower priced, like we found sales on eggs just the other day. Cheese was on a real good sale over at Smith's. You missed it, that was last week. Progresso soups are still 99 cents. There's more of them that are based on the chicken and poultry rather than the beef. There may be an issue there, but then you should be eating more chicken and poultry anyway. But those are still down at 99 cents each. You have to buy 10 of them now, but it's wintertime, and that's what we usually would do. So we're changing our patterns a little bit. We're just stocking up for the winter months too. So we're going to quit buying soup in a little bit because our cupboards are going to be full. But buying by not eating smart necessarily, by shopping smart, the inflation hasn't really hit us. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Right.
So.
No, there's definite strategies to finding where you can find the best price. And I often find that I can't go to just one store in this town anyway, that I have to visit all 3 stores if I want to get the best deals. Also, we talk about, you don't always have to eat fresh fruits and vegetables. I mean, that is ideal. But you can also get frozen, which is just, as far as nutrition-wise, just about the same. If you happen to get canned fruits and vegetables, they're very similar in nutrition, but you do have to read the label because sometimes they'll pack them in, say, salt, or the fruit will be packed in something, sugary syrup or something like that. So it's good to read labels if you're eating a fair amount of canned goods. But as far as nutrition goes, they really encourage you to eat a variety of fresh fruits and vegetables. And it's okay if some are frozen and some are canned. I feel like the prices I've seen is mostly for the meat, and he mentioned the beef. I have heard, and I've heard from people who own restaurants that it's getting so expensive that it's hard to serve anymore. So, but really, like he said, beef is something that we should probably have every so often, and not like an everyday occurrence kind of thing. And one strategy was, as soon as you get the meat and you get it home, say you bought a pound of stuff, divide it into, say, 4 different bags, and then you can use that less meat in your meal and more veggies. So you still have the meat there, but you can make it go further if you think about it and add things that will further it. So sometimes it's vegetables, sometimes it may be beans, things like that, or, a pasta perhaps. But there's ways to make the meat go further.
I have my little ways to make meals too that I surprise my wife. There's leftovers in the refrigerator from 2 or 3 days, and then she just comes home in the evening on one day and just looks and see what I've concocted from the things that are sitting in the refrigerator. Mm-hmm. She just would say, "I never would have thought of that, but if that's what your taste buds say it's good, it's fine, and it's nutrition."
Yeah, you have to be creative.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But so you're going to be teaching the folks about that. You're going to be cooking in these classes.
Yes, there. Sometimes I do the preparation beforehand. It depends on how complicated the recipe is, and sometimes I do it in class. But there is a recipe. Actually, there's more than one recipe. At least 2 or 3 recipes that we talk about towards the end of the class, and then we get a chance to taste it as well. So that's what's fun about doing these classes in person. I have done it on Zoom as well, online, and it's just not as much fun because you don't get to try the recipe. But with the environment now, there may be a chance to do this class on Zoom as well later on in the year.
So that'd be interesting too, yes. So you use the kitchen in the coalition then?
Actually, what I do is I set up my computer in my kitchen at home because it's much easier to work in. So that works out for me.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So have you had this class before, or is this the first time for this?
Yes. I've been teaching this class probably for the past 5 years. So it usually is offered at least 4 times a year. So this would be the first one for 2022, and it's starting January 18th, next week on the Tuesday there.
Oh, now it's coming back to me when I worked over at the coalition. I never went to the classes naturally. How well attended are they? 10?
Yes,
10,
what
15?
I'm looking for is at least 10 people, maybe even 12, and that's probably about max there. Yeah, but they're pretty well attended. Sometimes I get people from the same family, and that's always fun too, because really cooking and eating is sort of a family affair, and it gives us a chance to talk about, communication between the family members perhaps, or teaming up to cook together and things like that.
All right, try to keep everybody happy.
Right.
Or those
got to keep them happy.
Or those days that you're not leaving the table until you eat everything that I made for you. So having things left over, knowing that you could make something else with those leftovers, things like I was saying, I'll find whatever's in the refrigerator. Or sometimes I'll do here's what I like to do, the Marie Callender's little bowls. Uh-huh. It could be beef stew, or I just had beef and broccoli yesterday. And then I mixed that with a can of Progresso soup with beef.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, that's me.
Again, creative.
Yes, I'm creative. Yes. You made what? Yes. So you're not going to go out shopping with these folks or anything?
In this class, there isn't a shopping tour, but we do talk about it. In the past, I actually have done shopping tours, and they're a lot of fun too. So not this class, but I'll give you a lot of tips as far as when you guys go shopping.
Do you tell them about the outside edge and the inside edge?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right. When you go into a grocery store.
And what's that? What happens on the outside?
It's all the more fresh and real whole foods. So, for instance, the fresh fruits and vegetables. Then eventually you have the dairy, the cheeses, the milk and the meat, and that all that is fresh. So it has to be stay preserved, has to be refrigerated, and maybe kept moist. Some of the vegetables. In the center of the store, you'll find more of the preserved foods. And what happens with this is a lot of times they're more highly processed and they have added ingredients that you may not want to be ingesting, and higher in sugar content, higher in salt content. So we always say, shop the perimeter first. And, maybe a few things you need on the inner parts, but most of it is on the outer part because you want to eat whole food, real food, not highly processed food.
Yes. Another tip that I have, the canned vegetables, when you open up the top, just dump the liquid out and then rinse it a couple times to get all the salts out of there.
Yeah.
So I know these little tips.
Sounds like you come to my class because we do talk about that. You can get, I think it's 40% of the salt rinsed off just by rinsing it with water. So that works good, say, with things like, corn or green beans. You can just rinse it before you use it.
Yes. So that is just about it for this segment then. And this is starting when?
This starts next week.
Ooh.
On Tuesday, the 18th, January 18th, from 10 o'clock to 11:30 a.m.
Okay, and it's going to be room 31, and hopefully you'll get 8 or 10 people. I'm working in the morning, so I can't make that.
Okay.
But if you want somebody to give you tips over there, I could come there anytime. But anyway, I want to thank you for watching us. I want to thank you for taking this time. Mm-hmm. And then we will see you in the next segment then of Community Viewpoints. So once again, 775-727-9970. Tamalyn's extension is 241. So thank you, Tamalyn, and we'll see you in the next segment. And welcome once again to Community Viewpoint. Oh, we have a real treat. You got me twice this week. So I'm here once again with Tamalyn Tylor. Tamalyn and I were talking about her class that she's having coming up the next week, Eating Smart, Being Active. We'll talk about it at the end of this segment. But Tamalyn has done a lot of other things over at the Coalition, iCommunities Coalition. One of the things is we could talk about you're doing the raised garden.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that you got that why?
All right.
Because you're trustworthy?
At the Coalition, we have a garden on the campus. We call it an ICC demonstration garden. And the idea is to use this for education purposes. So we grow our own veggies, and a lot of times we're able to use it within our nutrition classes. And also we use some of the veggies, and we take them, the excess ones, we take them over to a food pantry. So it's part of a gleaning program as well. So I've been busy actually today going to Home Depot and getting some of the soil that I need and kind of just waking up the garden from the winter time. And spring will be here pretty soon. So I'm just preparing the garden for the spring planting. And it's been a lot of fun. So it's been about 2 years now that the garden's going, but it was actually built about 8 years ago, I believe. And Home Depot, again, was very instrumental in helping us get that garden going.
I remember that, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the employees came over there, and so they had a out of store day that they helped you guys build that. And they were also at the other places like the VFW. They did landscaping over there. So they do a lot of community activities there. So they're very good about that. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. So your garden is over there, and you have, what have you been growing? Legally?
Right. Over the cooler months, you grow things like the root vegetables. So we had, radishes and beets and some of the hardy greens like kale and chard and collard greens. So those are more the winter crops, we call them. And then as we get in the warmer months, we can put in things like the tomatoes and the cucumbers and the bell peppers and things like that. And of course, some of the lettuce. And so nothing really exotic yet, but things grow really well in that garden. We're pretty fortunate.
You should sell them over at the farmer's market, unless you can't do that on Saturdays. That's just a thought.
Yeah, like I say, the function of this garden is to
education.
Education. Help people that have questions about gardening here in the valley, to provide some extra fresh vegetables for the food pantries, and it just allows us to use some fresh stuff in our cooking classes as well.
Okay. One of the things that you've done through the past few years is something that I can't, what's the name of it? Not Kung Fu, it's...
Qigong.
Qigong, yes.
Yes.
I never get that right.
Qigong is basically translated to energy work, and it's kind of similar to Tai Chi, if you're familiar with that. And it's basically a lot of this postures are done standing or sitting, and it's slow, graceful movements with the breath, kind of like meditative movement. And it has a lot of benefits for you, not only just stress reduction, but strengthening of the legs, coordination, and it feels really good. So that one has been very popular. In fact, in the past, I've offered a class at the library. Since COVID came along, I haven't been back there, but I still offer a class online. So if you're familiar with the Zoom, I offer Qigong on Zoom, and it's Thursdays at 11 a.m. every week, and it's free, of course. So if you're interested, you would contact me at the coalition.
And then you would email the person,
right? Then
with
I email
an
you the links and help you if you've never done Zoom before. I can explain how it works and things like that. So
you should contact us at the library. We could do the same thing with you there. You're not doing that with us, are you?
Right, not in person, but there would be a way for them to do a Zoom. If you had a TV set up or a screen or whatever, it's possible.
I might get you back there sooner than later.
That's the way to do it.
Yes. So that's one of the things you've been doing through the years. You do that at the coalition too, because I remember the classes you've had over there.
Yes. Besides Qigong, right now I have just one Qigong class per week. I do yoga as well. I call it gentle yoga. I have a 11 a.m. yoga class at the coalition, and then I have a 3 o'clock yoga class that's Zoom. And both the yoga classes are offered on Mondays. And you would need to register through me by contacting me at the coalition.
How do you find that easily? Is that in a newsletter? Is that online? If I was just a regular citizen, a resident of Pahrump, and I was looking for that, is that ever in the briefs in a newspaper?
It's kind of hidden. Before it was advertised with the library. They would have their own newsletter that went out. We have it mentioned in our calendar of our newsletter, the 9cc newsletter. One of the reasons we don't heavily advertise is because we do have a space restriction to it, and especially with COVID now, my in-person class, I can only have maybe 6 people, and so that's pretty much full. But it's unlimited as far as people in the Zoom classes. I mean, we can go up to 100 people or so. So we got plenty of room in the Zoom classes.
Yeah, I could see all those little TV sets on the monitor. Yeah. But so that's going on throughout the year?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're a busy little educator.
Yes, I find especially for the fitness classes, if you take off too much time, people kind of drift away and find other things to do. So I'd like to have the fitness going on year long. Sometimes if it lands on a holiday, we may skip it, but for the most part, the classes are offered all year long.
And it's older people, middle age usually?
Yes, it seems to attract, like who lives in Pahrump. There seems to be more
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
seniors that come. So I would say a fair amount are maybe in their 60s. But my older yoga student, she's in her 80s. So, 60s through 80s. And I have some youngsters every so often, but a lot of times they're usually working, going to school, or so
Mhm.
forth during the time that I offer the class. So.
Okay. And we were thinking about exercise and things like that, promoting what you do. In April 16th, we mentioned it once already, but Earth Day, Arbor Day will be coming back again, unless something ungodly happens with this latest variable with COVID. But we'll be at Ian Deutsch Memorial Park once again, and you've got the invitation for Nye Communities Coalition
Okay.
for all the things that you do. So we'll be going back as we were before in full-blown Earth Day, Arbor Day. Like I said, unless something drastic happens, which I hope doesn't. So we'll be having you over there. Some of the other things that the coalition does that's very worthwhile. We have the job fairs that are quarterly. I think they have.
Yes, they have one coming up, not too, I think just 2 weeks from now, or sorry, I don't have the date on that, but if you did call the coalition, you can find out. The other areas that I'm more familiar with is under our prevention and wellness department. So we have diabetes self-management classes, and we have chronic illness self-management classes, and both of them are excellent. I've been through both of them. And what else? We have other things going on that aren't all the time, so I know a lot of things under mental health, for instance, classes and trainings and things like that. But it's the diabetes and the chronic illness class that gets the most attention, I believe, and they're really good. Some are done online through Zoom, and some are done in person.
And if you want to find all these things, you can go to NyeCommunitiesCoalition.org online, look for their newsletter, and then you'll spend a half an hour looking through the newsletter because it keeps getting bigger. But they do so much. You do so much, and we appreciate what you do and what the coalition does. So let's look at what we did in the last segment. Then let's put the flyer up there. And this is what you came down here for. If you want to talk about that for a couple minutes.
Yes, the Eating Smart, Being Active. It's a 8-week class where we meet. We'll be meeting on Tuesdays from 10 to 11:30, and we're going to be talking about how to learn to eat more healthy, plus be active. So it's a lot of things to encourage you to figure out how can you get some activity, physical activity in the day. So 8 weeks. What we do over those 8 weeks, first we talk about what's a healthy eating pattern. Then we go through each food groups and talk about ways of working with the different foods, either learning new recipes or some of the health benefits, how much you should be eating, portion sizes and that sort of thing. So the class will be starting on Tuesday, the 18th, January 18th. And I'm still looking for more students, so please call and come down to Nye Communities Coalition.
So another thing I want to mention too, that I know you watched this program because we were up at the Short Branch Saloon in Crystal last week for Kathy, who owns the place. It was her birthday, so she was serving meatloaf. And there's a gentleman, a couple of gentlemen were going to be playing pool where we were sitting. And then he was getting ready. Then he was calling me John. I didn't know who he was. But he says, I know you from TV. I see you all the time. So I know he's watching today. So I forgot your name, but that's me because of my age. But thank you for noticing me and then watching the show. So we do reach out. We do get to the people. And actually, we'll be seen in Las Vegas now too, because the station is out there too. So who knows who's watching us over there. So I want to thank you for stopping by today and sharing with us some of the wonderful things that you do at the coalition. And It's been an honor to know you these last 5
Thank
years.
you. It's been a lot of fun to know you too.
And hopefully I'll still know you in another 5 years. So I want to thank you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. If not at Kathy's at the Short Branch, then we'll see you on TV. All right. Good night.